Welcome to 247 Real Talk. I'm your host, Julian Perry. It's a pleasure to be here with you once again for another episode of the 247 Real Talk podcast. I hope that you had a great week since we last spoke. Welcome to all my new subscribers. Welcome to my old subscribers. And even hello to some who unsubscribed. Not every podcast is for everyone, and people have their own reasons. But I hope that for those of you who stick around, that whatever I'm inspired to share with you, it brings you hope, it brings you strength, it brings you pleasure just to listen, and it gives you another reason to be part of something bigger. This week I'm going to hit you with something a little deeper that's been on my mind for a while, and I pray that as I speak with you, I'm inspired and you're inspired. So may the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in His sight, to Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Had a little fiddling with the controls. So, not dragging this on, but something that has been on my mind for a while, and I've wanted to talk to you about it. I've talked to you about it before. I've even had a expert guest on here, but recently it's been something that I've paid attention to because, as a podcaster in social media, as long as you're in it, you get a lot of media coming at you, relevant media, and all stories from all over the world. And then, as I was thinking exactly how I would approach this episode, of course, my pastor, Pastor O'Connor, sends me something. It's something from the author is Brian Tracy, and it says, "Be the change." Actually, correction. The author is Mahatma Gandhi, famous Mahatma Gandhi. Be the change that you wish to see in the world. Be the change that you wish to see in the world. You guys are aware that I've had this horrific situation at work. I've talked about it a lot, that I've been challenged with. Someone who came aboard, someone who is narcissistic, someone who is personally has to be unhappy, someone who gets pride on throwing their weight around, someone who gets some sort of euphoria by seeing their power inflict some sort of restrictions and oppressions on others, someone who enjoys being seen as a powerful leader lording over others, someone who has forgotten who they are and whose they are, and the fact that life is so fragile and the power they enjoy today not only could be someone else's tomorrow, but they cannot even be around to enjoy it or to use it in the wrong manner. And then I started seeing every single day. I click on the news and I look at my streams. I have one that runs in front of me 24 hours a day, where as breaking news comes in. And I started to see a trend. Influencers from all over the world, young influencers, 20-something, 30-something. I kept seeing this influencer died, condolences. And I must have seen about 10 or 12 in the row, and then I saw one that they labeled as Beyonce's biggest fan or something like that. And the one thing that they had in common was that they all committed suicide. And I've talked about suicide here before. I've had episodes about it. But it really got me to delving into the deepness in the space I'm in, understanding the pressures that the world inflicts that people don't see. Seeing all that and experiencing all that caused me to have a deeper conversation with my wife and a deep conversation with one of my cousins. I'm going to call her by name, and if she listens to the episode, she'll know, she'll hear it. Her name is Marilyn Thomas. Like dearest cousin. who prays for me a lot and who gives me insightful words and lifts me as I lift you. And I thought about the words that she said and the things that she said to inspire me that are inspirational, but also made me go deeper into what is going on in the world when young people find no other hope in life and no other solution but to end it. Some of the at an age where they haven't even really begun to experience it. I like to divide life into trimesters, and for me, I say I'm in the last or the third trimester of my life. And in a way, it's the most meaningful because the first and second seem to prepare me for this search. I'm at this last leg of the journey where I make the biggest difference in the world, where I finally matured enough to understand what's going on and to live out the purpose for which I was created. I thought about Robin Williams. I thought about the football player from, I think it was from the Jets or something the other day, or not the Jets. I forgot what team he was from. Eagles, maybe, I'm not sure. The one who committed suicide, 20-something years old. And when the world looks at people and they see the news of some celebrity committing suicide, I used to be one that used to say, what's wrong with this person? They've got money. If they're in relationships, they have any person they want in a relationship. They live in a nice house, drive a nice car. They got huge checks and a huge future coming. They can do anything in the world. Yet, they live in a place of darkness. I remember, I think it was Richard Pryor had seen, or someone else, I think it was Steve Harvey, who I also saw mention about the dark place that comedians come from. The way that they see the world and the way that they're able to channel things into humor by seeing the pain of the world. And it was something in passing, sort of, not trivial, but something that I heard it. But then I began to understand their world when I became a podcaster. There are many podcasts out there who, there's athletes who talk about the game, and people who talk about joke, and people who talk about gossip, and people who talk, there's all sorts of topics out there. There's healthcare podcasts, there's all those things. But when you get into something like my podcast, like 247 on Real Talk, where you talk about the pains and the challenges of the world that people are facing, people who are seeing injustice, people who are oppressed, people who are at the mercy of the hands of others, who have forgotten who they are and whose they are. You begin to see the darkness of the world. You begin to see the pain and oppression of others in a most powerful way. You begin to understand that when someone cries out in pain and in silence, it is more powerful than the person who's screaming at the top of the mountain. It is not normal in what we call quote unquote normal for someone who is an influencer who, whatever their previous life was, they start a YouTube channel or a TikTok channel or something, and they made tons of money, and they're traveling the world, and they had a dream to see every single country, and they're living out that dream. And one would wonder, they drive a beautiful car, they live in a beautiful house, maybe they do a personal episode where you see them in the house. And again, one would wonder, what's wrong with them? Why would they find the need to end it all? It takes some amount of effort to understand and get it. But if you live and you decide to venture into that place of darkness, you do. I've heard things like, and I've seen them, I'll be honest with you, I have a few YouTube channels. I haven't seen it on this channel so much, and I'm thankful for it. And I am very aggressive with my other channels if someone becomes too negative. But I have seen people come on my review channels where I review gadgets and start their conversation. Me like, I don't give a crap about what you think I'm looking for. And that's simple. It sounds trivial. But people out there fixate themselves on others for whatever reason. And sometimes they even start that fixation with praise, but they're expecting a whole lot from us, the social media people. And I say the social media people only because the last 15 suicides I read about in the last maybe 4 weeks or something, that little time, were all social media people or sports people. And what happens is they're expecting you in between thousands, and I have thousands, people have tens of thousands and millions of followers, to have the time and the ability to individually interact with them. The beauty about my podcast is I've got a few thousand subscribers, and so I get the ability, based on the number of messages I get, to respond. Sometimes I miss some and I don't respond for weeks, and I apologize when I do. But there are people who turn that from a casual hello to an obsession that's either lifting you up first and then taking offense because you can't have an individual one-on-one relationship with them through your podcast. There's all types of people in the world, people who see it as an obsession. But I'm pointing to these things because I began to realize that when you choose a life that is visible, either through sports, social media, which is a big thing now where I'm speaking to you, comedians, your life changes. People interject themselves into your life sometimes to bring pain. I remember a story years ago about a young girl, and I think the mother got convicted and sent to jail for causing the young girl to commit suicide because she went on social media and she basically bullied her to the point where she felt worthless. And I'm telling you this because the struggle I'm having with me, even in my job, is how to deal with it. How to, people give you advice, right? Ignore this person. But this is someone, imagine you're sitting somewhere and you're living your life, you're relaxing, you're on a long drive, in the most scenic place, wherever your peace place is. And you've been doing this for a while, and you're heading to the ocean, and you're almost there. And then someone comes along, a car next to you, and the person sticks a needle in your side, and they start jabbing you every chance they get. They've disturbed your peace for no reason that you can understand, just because you have become a target. You've been driving for, let's just make this up, 3 weeks. You're exhausted. You don't have the will or the energy to fight back the way you would have when you first started your journey. And I say that because I've been in my current job, I'm beginning to touch 35 years. And when I started 35 years ago, I probably would not have had this conversation with you because I had the energy then to fight in a way that was maybe immature, was maybe senseless, but it all rolled up into this bravado that could seem that they could fight off any storm. Now in my third trimester, I found peace. And here comes trouble. And I use a lot of my teachings of the Bible and my spiritual beliefs to understand that throughout your life you're going to deal with these things. And as my cousin Marilyn speaks with me and inspires me and pays attention to me, and I'm going to touch on that in a moment too, but I find that I'm still in a place where I need to deal with this, where I desperately want this woman, this boss, to go away. And I realize that my fight has to be that my faith and prayer has to be more powerful than the challenge. People have confided and have said to me, don't let it bother you. Don't let this person change your happiness. Don't let this person change your day. Those are beautiful words. That's great advice. But for the person who is wounded, the person who is being inflicted with the pain and the anguish, sometimes can't muster that. And so I identify with these people as I look at their pictures and see their smiling faces on social media with the caption under it, condolences. And I look at them deep into the picture to understand who inflicted this kind of pain and who ignored it. Where did you get to, or how did you get to a place in your life where no one recognized how deep and dark of a place you were in? My cousin Marilyn understands a lot about my challenge. My wife understands a lot about my challenge. And some days, today, for instance, I was off to see my surgeon for my, follow-up with my knee replacements. And I came home and I felt complete lack of energy. I just wanted to lie down. And what I realized, and I lay down for maybe an hour, but what I realized when I got up and I reflected was that my physical exhaustion was due to my mental exhaustion. I'm sorry, 1 second. We lost power. Not a problem. My physical exhaustion was due to my mental exhaustion. And my mental exhaustion was due to my emotion, was in part with my emotional exhaustion. And my emotional exhaustion and mental exhaustion had to do with my lack of desire to fight the way I would 35 years ago. And to be honest with you, I don't want to have the fight. I don't have that fight left in me. But why am I saying, and I want to make sure I get the words right with Mahatma Gandhi, don't want to mess them up. Be the change that you wish to see in the world. And when I saw that, I was inspired by my pastor, because now I'm in a place of choice. I need my income. I need my job. I have other outlets that I've been looking at to change directions of income, but I have earned the place of him. I've earned my pension. I've earned the right to finish this right 35 years in of exemplary service. But what I need to see is change. Because a lot of the other people who are also being picked on, maybe not as bad, maybe I'm the main target right now, but they have less time in. They're younger than I am. Their journey ahead is longer. And they're miserable. And literally, I've had a few of them leave the job on a stretcher from a breakdown because of what this person is inflicting. But it's a bigger problem too. The bigger problem is that those above, all the way to the top, are so interested in the results that they don't care how many bodies are left in the way while they get their results, while they are seen and adhered and adored and receive all the accolades of achieving something on these mass companies. No one knows what's going on in the belly of the beast. No one knows how people are struggling to survive while they're being oppressed and mistreated because of the smiling faces at the top that want to fool the world to suggest that everything is okay, and there's this great workforce who are being treated magnificently, and that's why they've achieved. No, that's not what's going on. So as I think about what I do next, a lot of how I felt has been due to the fact that I've been looking for ways to run and hide. And then I read, be the change that you wish to see in the world. Then I keep reading the stories of people who are so invisible to even the folks around them, either because they're looking, admiring the money they're making as an influencer and the material things that they're buying, but they have completely lost touch with the person who's suffering. It's time to be a change. One of the reasons in my organization that nothing has changed is because people are so afraid individually, and people have gotten to a point where the leadership has managed to divide. So you divide and conquer, right? You divide in a way that people are afraid that if Julian stands up and Julian asks you to stand up, when the time comes, you're going to leave me hanging. Where we are today in the world, no matter who you are, is a result of someone deciding to be the change. Looking back into history, someone decided to be the change. I started this podcast because I wanted to be the change. And I don't have a clear plan in my head yet how I'm going to be the change. Whether it's a direct approach, whether it's an approach where I step out and then step from the side, whether I completely divest and go off in a whole new angle so that I can speak freely without repercussions, so I can expose what's going on. But I don't have to do it alone. I've learned as I speak with you each week that my words alone mean nothing. My ability to speak is not mine. I don't sit in front of this camera because I have a monetized channel, because this podcast that I could monetize is not. I sit here because in a world that has lost its way, in a world where we have gotten to a point where we ignore each other and the pains of each other, where it is too much effort to reach out to someone to see how they're doing, even if they're smiling, that there are people that God uses, which I believe is my purpose, to remind the world who we are, whose we are, and that despite every effort to deny Him, that He is still on the throne, and that those who rise up against us who believe, and those who rise up against us who do the right thing each and every day. And remember, this is not exclusive. I have met people who have said that they're not sure they believe in God. But I can think of at least one person who is the kindest, one of the nicest people I've ever met. I don't know on their day of reckoning or judgment how that plays out, but I know that they do every effort, every single day they live in a way not to inflict pain, but to be kind. And I'm saying that they're part of the solution still, not the problem. We're all created equal in the likeness of our Creator. I sit here before you because I believe that there's a message to be spoken to you through me. I believe that we're living in a time where the effort by every single thing outside is not only to oppress us, but to divide us, to make us feel so alone and hopeless that any of us who seek a better life, who don't belong to a certain part or clique in society, are pointless and useless, and our lives don't matter. Your life matters. My life matters. The people who oppress us, their lives matter too. The question is, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to sit back and live the struggle without making any effort to make a change? Be the change that you wish to see in the world and make a difference. Lord, you are truth and you are love. I open the door to today. Energize me to grow beyond who I was yesterday. Strengthen what is special about me. Bless my efforts to be diligent, honest, and faithful. May my living be worthy, my intentions pure, my actions fruitful. Open my heart to honest reflection and grant me the inspiration to grow, to let go of anything that diminishes me and to embrace what elevates my spirit. Renew my motivation. Restore my hope. Bless me with insight and wisdom. Shape me into someone who inspires strength and reflects unwavering resilience. Let my life reflect faith, and hope. And if your life reflects faith and hope, then you might just save the life of the next person right in front of you who feels hopeless. Remember, take care of yourselves. But don't just stop there. Please, take care of each other.